There you go. Can you hear me okay, Roger? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
It's this,
Okay.
Randy, can you mute channel 3? 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check.
Can I now? Oh yeah, go ahead and speak. Okay. Hello, world.
Hello,
Welcome
Philip.
to the March for Organics, an event that is unique to Canoga Park. It's unique because rather than sit here and grovel and complain and protest about how horribly our food is all messed up, what we're going to do is we're going to look into and explore and find food, the solutions to problems. The solution to food that's genetically engineered, chemically adulterated, and nutritionally enhanced. That is, we're going to explore organic foods and personal products. So, rather than be against something, we're going to be for something. Instead of being against Monsanto, because we know how bad they are, we're going to be for something. Organic foods. And we'll tell you where to get them. So, I want to say, oh, by the way, I'm your host, Phil Joffy.
Woo!
And I just want to say that, okay, the bathrooms are over there, the restrooms, for mothers with kids. There's a big old playground over there. And, oh yeah, I also want to, before I get started, I want to thank the Topeka division of the LAPD. Good one. I want to thank the LA Department of Recreation and Parks for giving us this venue. And I know I'm forgetting, oh yes. And I just want to know, are there any refugees here from the LA March? The one that was canceled? Can I see it? Can I see any hands? I know there's a few here. Yeah. Okay. So, our first speaker. Go ahead. Okay. Our first speaker is going to define for us what the problem with our food is. And I don't need to give you long introductions because she is the, shall we say, the speaker on this subject.
We lost you there.
You did?
He's still coming on this side.
Coming. Okay. So,
No, he's here.
Now you're not open.
Well, let's keep it moving. We can still hear you.
okay. First speaker, I described as the speaker of speakers on the subject. You probably see her in videos many times. Nishabina.
Yay! Don't know if you've seen it. It's on Netflix. Check it out. I did research for the film. I'm currently less than a year away from graduating with a JD and a master's in public policy. So, yay me. I wanted to start by doing something that people usually do at the end of talks, which is thanking you all for being here today. I just want to say that your presence matters You being here matters. The decisions that you make every day about what you eat, what you buy, what you put on yourself, what you wear, matter. You being here and taking time out of your very busy lives, I'm sure everybody here could be doing about 1 trillion things, but you're here because you believe in what's happening today. And that really matters. It matters to me, it matters to Philip, it matters to everybody else who's here and we can share in this collective space. Also, thank you, Philip. Can we just give Philip a round of applause?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So for those of you that don't know Philip, this man puts countless hours of his life into raising awareness, into making himself aware about the problems in the world and thinking about ways to address them. He's dedicating his life to addressing some of the biggest problems in our society, from police misconduct to our food system. And I just thank you for putting all the time that you put into today and for inviting me to speak. So you rock. And I also, the third, I guess, essence, spirit that I want to thank is our beautiful earth, right? That's why we're here today. Thank you to the earth, to the soil, to the worms, to the fungus and the roots that keep all the trees together, to the plants, to the sky, to all the molecules that keep our bodies alive. Thank you, Earth. Thank you, Mother Earth. And our beautiful cosmos that we get to be alive in and fight for. So, as Philip said, this was the March Against Monsanto in years past, but this year it's a little different. It's the March for Organics. And this switch, it seems subtle, but it's actually quite profound. The Dalai Lama himself, that great Baron of Peace, he says, I'm not anti-war, I'm pro-peace. What does that mean? That means that us as individuals, when we're anti-something, we're fighting, right? We're always on the defensive. And in the context of GMOs in our food system, we're fighting against billions of dollars. We are fighting against, you know, politicians who have hundreds of people that they're representing that are corn farmers and soy farmers and want GMOs to exist, right? So it can be a little scary to be anti-war or anti-GMO or anti-something that's so much bigger than any of us as individuals. So what does it mean to be pro-something, right? Pro-organics. That means that we as individuals are taking a second to think about the world that we want to live in, and we're building that for ourselves, right? So I just want to give you all a little bit of history of modern agriculture, because I think it's a story that people don't really know about. Like, why is it that there are GMOs? Why is it that we eat all this packaged processed food? So GMOs, the way that a genetically modified crop is planted is one plant is planted on acres and acres and acres and acres of land, okay? So corn and soy, which are the two big crops that are produced, are engineered to withstand herbicide, right? So when there's weeds that grow and then you dump the toxin on the soil to kill off the weeds, the corn and the soy and many other genetically modified plants, engineered plants, are built to withstand that herbicide dump, right? And also pesticides. They're built to be able to survive from all these toxic chemicals being dumped on them. But the reason that we need all these toxic chemicals to be dumped on the soil in the first place is that planting one crop on acres and acres and acres of land is counter to how nature grows. Just take a second and like look at the park. How many different, okay, there's grass and trees, right? So maybe there's two crops here, but hopefully you all get to go hiking or you go to the beach or you've been wild places where there are lots of plants growing. And if you look at a little patch of land, you'll see dozens of plants growing in a single space. That's how nature grows. Nature grows with a lot of plants where all the different plants are putting different chemicals into the soil and taking up different chemicals. That's how nature grows. Like, nature does not grow with one crop on acres and acres. So where did this model come from? This model came from the era of slavery. It came from the era of plantations. It came from one crop being planted on acres and acres and acres of land and being traded in international markets for money. And that's still how our food system is driven. It's driven by making money in international markets. It's driven by selling crops to food producers and creating these huge chains of industrial food production, so everybody's sort of making money along the way. It's driven by the industry of needing pesticides, of needing to continuously grow the technology of our food. That's what's driving our food system today. What's not driving our food system? Ensuring that every human has the full plethora of nutrients, micronutrients, macronutrients, driven by ensuring that every human has access to the freshest food available. It's not driven by ensuring that our Earth is going to survive for another 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 years. So right now our food system, the anti, right, like what we're fighting against when we do engage in battle is a food system that's not driven by what people need and what the Earth needs. That's what we're fighting for, right? That's the system that we want to see. And each of us can take so many actions toward that.
Perfect, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, they've been painting this beautiful
Banner.
by hand. Props to you guys.
Woo!
Thank you for that.
Beautiful work.
So just to continue with what we're fighting for, I just want to throw out a few ideas, or I guess to sort of reconnect with the history, right? So what does it mean that like our current food system, right, monoculture farming that came from the era of slavery and plantations, that it still exists? What does that mean, right? Before this type of farming was imposed all around the world, there were so many different types of farming methods, right? Of like all kinds of people from every part of the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America. People were growing seasonally, people were saving their own seeds, they had drought-resistant crops, water-resistant crops. There were all these brilliant agricultural innovations that had come thousands of years of all these different civilizations working with the earth in their local spaces. So I don't necessarily know whether it makes sense to go back to how we used to farm, but what I do know is that there's so much knowledge in the world about how to farm sustainably with the earth in a way that can feed everybody. Like, this knowledge is there, right? There are how many billion people on Earth, multiplying since the beginning of humanity, and that means that we've been eating food, and we've been eating a lot of food. So there's just a lot of myths around, you know, GMOs and the food system, and so I just think it's important to break some of those down, and also to remember that when we're fighting for something, what is it that we're fighting for? What is the world that we want to build, right? What is the food, where is it that we're getting our food from? Is it locally? Is it in parks like this? Should parks like this have food spaces where everybody can come and grow? Should there be gardens on every block? Should everybody have access to a little container on their patio? A lot of these things are happening. In Los Angeles, there's the Los Angeles County Master Gardeners Program. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they do amazing work. They train people to help people in LA grow food, and then they also teach victory gardening classes where you can go and it's like 2 weekends. It's pretty cheap, $75 for like 4 days of class, like hours a day. You go, they teach you how to grow your own food, and with this one class, you can grow stuff on your patio, you can grow stuff in your backyard. So I think, you know, doing this type of work is transformative. There's permaculture, and then even beyond that, there's so much you can do. I actually make my own hair wash. I gave up on shampoo and conditioner about 3 or 4 years ago, so I use a mixture of baking soda, chickpea flour, which Indian people traditionally bathed with for thousands of years, and yogurt, and I blend it up and it makes a mousse, and I wash my hair, and then I'll rinse with some apple cider vinegar. So there's like so many things that everybody can do right now to cut down on your investment in the chemical manufacturing industry, because products are chemical manufacturing, right? Like, if you can take the bus, or if you can bike or skateboard, like those kids over there, all of these things matter. You all matter. You matter, and you matter, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Everybody here, don't ever let anybody convince you, or even when you're looking at like the huge behemoth that is Monsanto and possibly soon Monsanto Bayer, when you're looking at that and you're like, I don't matter. It's not true, you do. And if anything, like politics and policy, you know, is a space that I've been working in, and I'm not convinced that that's going to make the change against big moneyed corporations. But what will make the change is the individual consumer, right? Like how you purchase. Caring so deeply about the world, caring about people, caring about the environment, caring about the food system, that he has taken months out of his life to bring everybody that's here together in this beautiful park. Another round of applause for Philip.
I got nothing better to do.
And again, I just hope that you guys walk away from here just knowing that you matter. And who you are matters, what you purchase matters, what you eat matters. And just talk to your friends. Convince your friends and your family. It's hardest to convince your family. They might think you're a little crazy like mine. And they're like, ha ha ha, GMOs. Don't eat that, it has GMOs, ha ha ha. And I'm like, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, have you watched my film? Come on, guys. But, you know, have those conversations, and one by one. Oh, one last story I'll tell before I go. So I'm South African. I was born in South Africa during apartheid. So I was born in a racially segregated neighborhood, which should blow everyone's minds, blows my mind even though I was born in it. And so I had the opportunity a few years back to go to South Africa and go to Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was held prisoner for 27 years. And one thing that I learned that the political prisoners Mandela included were doing is they had this program called Each One Teach One. So each person that had some kind of knowledge would teach one of the other prisoners, and that way they all educated themselves in a whole variety of areas, from law, policy, you know, literature, all kinds of things. And that's really our power, right? As consumers, as individuals, as people who are not billionaires, is that we have the power to reach out to our social networks, to our communities, learn from the people that we know, and then also teach the things that we know. So just don't give up, keep working hard. Thanks for coming out, and you all rock. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks again, Nisha. Thanks again.
Do you want me to film?
Yeah.
I can film.
Yeah, I just got the steps on
Oh.
Sir,
Hello, Phil.
have you up, sir? To continue with what Nisha was talking about, and I don't, sounded to me kind of like a conspiracy theory, but I hope that, you know. But it's basically to say what, you know, why we have a problem with GMOs and all this chemical adulteration crap, you know. So our next speaker is a former systems analyst for the medical industry. He's been doing it for 20 years, and I need to speak here. And all right, there he is. And let me introduce Andy Edger.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Although labeling of GMOs has largely been a state issue, there's also a federal component to it. And that's evidenced by the DARK Act, which I think many of you are familiar with. That's a bill that passed the House, but almost passed the Senate, and that would have prevented states from voting on GMO labeling bills. So that, I think, is a bit of a... As well as the fact that there's a revolving door where it seems that executives from Monsanto seem to get appointed to top government posts, like Secretary of Agriculture or Commerce or the head of the... I think that's a bit of a problem too, don't you? So obviously the question arises, how can we stop things like the DARK Act legislation and the revolving door? Well, the answer I would propose is to vote correctly. And what that means is to vote. In case you don't know, there's a group of Republicans that have sort of broken off from the Republican Party. There are people like Rand Paul, Justin Amash from Michigan, and a few others. And who does report to the special interests? Well, it's a long list, but some of them include Obama, Bush, Clinton, Kerry, Reid, Boehner, Boxer, Feinstein, Pelosi, McCain, and more. Now you may think that you may feel uncomfortable about voting for a third-party candidate. You may feel that they have no chance of winning, that it's impossible for them to win. Well, that isn't true. And let me explain why you think that way.
I'm sure I mentioned green.
I did, yes. And the reason for that is that there is a Presidential Commission on Debates, a little-known Presidential Commission on Debates, that is owned and controlled by special interests, and it prevents third-party candidates from being in the debates and being seen on television. And that's why millions of Americans believe that they can't win. But it's simply not true. They can if people vote for them. Just like people 20 years ago started to vote for organics by buying them. In the same way, you can vote for candidates who support organics by voting for people who are not owned and controlled by special interests. And currently, FYI, there's a lawsuit underway to compel the Presidential Commission on Debates to allow third-party candidates to be in the debates and be on television. And if you're interested, citizens can contribute to that lawsuit and fund it. Now, you'd probably like to know which presidential candidates report to the special interests and which do not. So let me give that a try. Let's start on the left. Hillary Clinton. She supports big agribusiness. She supports GMOs. She doesn't support labeling. I think it's fair to say that she's owned and controlled by special interests. Bernie Sanders. He does support labeling of GMOs. He does support the bills that are being passed state by state. And that's very good. However, there are a couple things that are a little bit troublesome. Like, for example, he supports mandatory vaccination. And if you've seen the movie Vax, you know that's a bit of a problem. So, Bernie is not perfect. Jill Stein, she's the Green Party candidate. She supports labeling of GMOs. She supports the state ballot initiatives. And in my view, there's no evidence at all that she has any special interest at heart. So if you're on the left, I strongly urge people to support Jill Stein for president.
I am.
Because there's absolutely zero evidence that there are any special interests involved. She's like an organic candidate. You support organic food, why not an organic candidate? Just makes sense. On the right hand of the ledger, in case there are any people on the right, there are a couple people. One is Donald Trump, another is Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson is most likely going to be the nominee for the Libertarian Party. And he's on record as being for labeling of GMOs. Period. There's also no evidence that he has any special interest at heart. There's also Donald Trump. As far as I can see, there's a lot of evidence that shows that he's not beholden to any special interests. So I'd put him in the category of a Liberty Republican. All right, so I wanted to point out that, in closing, there are a lot of other pieces to this puzzle. There are other important issues.
It's on, it's recording you.
Just hold it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. To continue, Henry, you're next. So continue in that same vein. Normally we don't do things like this, but I would like to bring on the candidate for state senate. Yeah, state senate, Fran Pavley's seat. And so he's a progressive also. This one here. So may I introduce Henry Stern.
Henry Stern!
Let's hear it for Phil. So one man force of nature here. We're honored to have you put your.
Take this one out.
We're honored to have you put your time and your labor, your sweat, your money into trying to make our community better. So thank you, Phil, and thank you all for coming out today. I like to still believe that politics can make things better, and that's why I'm running for office. I think it's a dark time right now in American politics.
I cut my fingers
It looks
off.
like a joke or a reality TV show, or you're watching American Idol, or are you on Twitter? What is it, right? But it's us. It's our land. It's our food. It's what we eat every day. It's the chemicals our kids and our families are exposed to. It's how we get to work. It's whether we have a park here. It's the water we drink, the air we breathe. That's politics. So the fact that you guys are taking time out of your Saturday, let's just count the rest of the crowd as part of it too, even though I think soccer might be taking precedent. We need it out here. I live down the street. I live on Alabama Avenue. I live in Canoga Park. How many Canoga Park folks we got in the audience today? Canoga Parque? See? Claro que sí.
We're not the
Okay.
Portuguese.
Bienvenidos.
We're closely associated with.
There you go. All right, we got some. We got a few more. We got some neighborhood council leaders here. We've got some incredible people in the audience today. So thank you for coming out. I'm gonna give you a round of applause for the work you do. So thanks. So I'm running for state senate because I think that one state senator can change the world. And I want to acknowledge my colleague here who really articulated that small is big. That's the future. Just little sparks can build a huge, huge fire. And this state legislature has amazing leverage to do good. If we change the way we label our food, if we change the way we treat the environment, not as an extractive resource, but as something that sustains us as people, we can literally change the whole global market. Right? So we make half the food for the United States of America. We consume more petroleum than anyone else in the world, except the US and China, right? So we're the largest petroleum. We drove to the sun and back last year. You want to guess how many round trips we did as a state to the sun? It's a few billion miles away. 7,600 round trips, right? So we literally move what Chevron and Exxon and Monsanto, their whole business model is based on our market. Do we have another mic on? Or do you think it's just getting a little feedback? Just don't touch it? Well, I didn't touch it. All right, I'll be better now. When we consume like we do in this state, which I think is frankly too much, I think there is something culturally that we all have to recognize that it's not something outside of ourselves that we need, it's just sitting right here. We've got to stop chasing. But even with that acknowledgement, right, even with that acknowledgement that we are consumers first in California, if we consume with intellect, if we consume with grace, if we consume with a sense of time, that things come from somewhere. We're not here today in some arbitrary place in the middle of a concrete jungle. We're in the middle of a park, in a place with memory and meaning that human beings have been living for centuries. And we have an obligation to reconnect with that lineage in our land and not let this valley and the concrete eat us whole, right? So we can breathe life back into this community, and that's my goal as your state senator. I want that LA River to be a river again. I want to bring back park space all throughout a green necklace through the valley. I want us to get out of our homes and walk and use that orange line and get off that freeway and not lose your mind on the 101 like we do. I want the food that we consume in our bodies, like you go down to follow your heart and you've got this incredible little hub of progress sitting in the middle of it all. I want that to radiate out so that kids in our school systems are eating plant-based diets and exposed to different kinds of diets, that we don't just keep repeating the cycle of the past and expecting things to change. The cancer rates in our country for young people and childhood cancer is up 30 to 50%, depending on the type of diagnosis, from 1975 to now. That's not a change in diagnosis, that's a change in exposure. That's a change in what we're eating, and we need to make a change ourselves. And that can start in Sacramento. And I'm proud that people like Phil and everyone who showed up here today is doing what they do. We got a big race on June 7th. I'm going up against $500,000 that just dropped in a super PAC that was exposed by Citizens United and now is being exploited by Chevron and all the real estate developers and the landlords in the valley all coming down on me because they don't control me. And I don't think that's what we want out of our politics. So I'm hoping that the people stand with me and we just say no to outside special interests, no to all that big money, and yes to all of this. So I humbly offer my service to you guys. I'll be here for a bit to talk, and hopefully I'll be your senator for the next decade to come. So thank you for coming out. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Come on and get this mic, Phil. You guys want me to do a quick riff too on the guitar? We can do a kick, freestyle. I'll do it. Yeah, just do a quick hip hop riff. All right. I wouldn't. I was listening to my Burning Spear on the way over here though, so just know it. We're getting ready. Thank you, Phil. All right, I got one. I got one. Got two.
Oh, yeah, anybody got quick questions for Anthony?
You want? I don't want to take over you.
Okay.
You want to ask
No questions here?
I'll be here. I'll come say hi.
Okay. And finally, our last speaker here for the march is Dr. here who works with. Oh, this is Jeff. This is where we really learn about organic foods. Andy White, oh, there he is. Well, what can I say? He manages a organization called Kids Make a Difference. I got it right? Okay, I saved the best for last year. So before we get marching, let me introduce Dr. Andy Wars.
All right, can everybody hear me all right? Yes? No? Hello? Anybody out there? Okay. Hey, on the skate park, listen up. Footballers, soccer players, listen up. Come on over. Everybody on the playground, stop playing for 3 minutes and come on over here. Got some things for you to hear. Give you a brief bit of background information. I'm a PhD in education. My doctoral work is in learning differences. It's my educational philosophy that every child learns differently and therefore every child should be taught differently. But disregard all of that for a moment. One of the things my doctoral dissertation will work very specifically is non-medicinal alternatives to dealing with ADHD. Any of you kids out there think you're hyperactive? Think your teachers and parents can't handle you? I got a solution for you. What you eat and how you live your life makes a world of difference. I have had so many kids throughout the years. Simple solution. We change the fuel we put into our body and the machines that are our bodies function better. If you take your gasoline-powered car, not that I'm promoting gasoline-powered cars, but if you take your gasoline-powered car and you put Coca-Cola into the engine, it's going to stop working pretty soon, and it's going to not function properly. Okay? If you take your vegetable oil-powered car and you put gasoline in it, it's not going to run right. You have to put the right fuel into the right machine. And clearly, one of those key solutions is what is right behind me here. Let's give a shout out to, I think it's Roger, right? Who was coordinating the making of this banner a little while ago. And Jacob and Alicia and whoever else, everybody who was making this banner. Look at this great banner behind us. Okay? This is a march for organics. Yeah, there's plenty of things we're against, but we can be more positive, take a more proactive approach in life, and focus on what we need to do, the positives that we can do. Put the right fuels into our body. We do not need chemicals and pesticides and other chemicals going into our bodies. We need to be conscious. Real quickly, since nobody shared it, and I had it right here, I wasn't sure if anybody was sharing this yet or not. First of all, I encourage us all to eat only organic, but sometimes maybe that's not realistic, and maybe we have to decide which things we're going to buy organic and which things we're not. Maybe some things are more accessible and some things are not. I can tell you, by the way, back in the dark ages when I was a little kid, I used to have intestinal issues and upset stomachs all the time. And I will admit, I ate a lot of apples and I drank a lot of apple juice, which you would think was healthy and good. When I became a young adult of a higher consciousness than I was when I was a little tyke not knowing yet, I started going with organic apples and organic apple juice. And I stopped having all the intestinal issues and stomach upsets that I was having throughout my entire childhood. And I did not know all that I know now about organic issues. But my body was telling me something very strongly, because my head, my brain, my consciousness may not have known, but my body certainly knew. So for many years, by the way, there's this list that comes out every year called the Dirty Dozen. The foods that, if you're going to ever buy things that are not organic, these are the ones that are the worst to not buy non-organic in any way, shape, or form. And for years, apples have been at the top of that list, and my body seemed to know that during my childhood. The new list just came out a couple of weeks ago, and if you don't know it, here it is. The worst sprayed food that you want to make sure you never eat a non-organic version of now is strawberries. Apples were at the top of the list, now they're knocked down to number 2, and the spraying of strawberries has taken over. And that does not mean that they're spraying the apples less. That actually sadly means that they're spraying the strawberries up in Oxnard, etc., even more. So make sure you're only buying organic strawberries, number 1, apples, number 2. Number 3, nectarines, number 4, peaches, number 5, celery, number 6, grapes. We all remember the grape boycotts of decades ago, and there was good reason for that. All the people having to breathe these toxic fumes in the midst of their agricultural efforts. After grapes, number 6, number 7 is cherries, number 8 is spinach, number 9 is tomatoes, number 10 is bell peppers, number 11 is cherry tomatoes, and number 12 is cucumbers. So those are the worst sprayed foods, at least under current research and current studies.
Cherry tomatoes from GMOs!
And absolutely, a lot of these things have GMOs. One of the things actually is tomatoes. I've tried to talk to a number of the synagogues around because they're very concerned about the kashrut rules and only bringing in foods that meet certain standards. And do you know, if you're out there buying a genetically modified tomato, you're automatically violating rules of kashrut and rules of halal and things like that, because there have been animal DNA inserted into the tomatoes, genetically modified, so that they maybe stay a little firmer and stay a little longer and somebody can make a little more money of them off of the shelves. All of that said, I believe I don't want to put any non-organic stuff into my body. I may make exceptions here or there as a rare exception, but I really believe in only putting organics into my body. I do not want to put pesticides and chemicals and toxicity into my body. That said, I will share with you briefly what is considered the clean 15, the 15 foods that are at least sprayed far less than all of the other foods that you can imagine. And so if you're going to buy non-organics, I'm not encouraging it, but these are the clean 15. Avocados. Corn, but it's very hard to find non-GMO corn these days.
They even have that follow your heart.
Yes, follow your heart. We're going there very soon. Pineapples, cabbage, sweet peas, onions, asparagus, mangoes, papaya, kiwi, eggplant, honeydew melon, grapefruit, cantaloupe, and cauliflower.
I love asparagus.
That's the current clean 15. And yes, asparagus season is just about upon us, right? Okay. And while we're heading over to Follow Your Heart in a short bit, and I very much encourage us to support a local, family-owned business that is more conscious than almost any other business around in what they're trying to provide us, I'm going to throw out here another plug for a business. Again, I have nothing to do with these businesses. I'm not making any money off of these businesses, but I think it well worth mentioning that the healthiest restaurant in all of LA only opened up this past February, right over in Tarzana, very close to us. It's a place called 118 Degrees. It's a totally non-GMO, a totally organic, totally raw, totally plant-based restaurant. It's owned by these three wonderful ladies. Jenny Ross is the culinary expert in the kitchen, and she creates amazing cuisines that are quite palatable to many people's taste buds. And also, Sharon Winters wrote a book. She's one of the partners. She wrote a book which you can buy at the restaurant called The Pure Cure, which every chapter is getting us to think about how we need to live our lives better, whether it be the water we drink, or the toxicity in the toothpaste we're just brushing our teeth with, or the lady speaking a couple ago, wherever she over there, was talking about the shampoos we use, etc. So just throwing out a couple little plugs that we are very lucky right now in the San Fernando Valley here in Tarzana, right over there by the Whole Foods in Tarzana, is the 118 Degrees restaurant, which I will say is the healthiest restaurant anywhere in all of LA, and certainly the healthiest or one of the healthiest in the country. The world is growing, our consciousness is growing. I've been totally vegan for 33 years. Back when I went vegan, nobody knew what I was talking about, okay? Now we're talking about it, and more restaurants are opening. I moved to LA 24 years ago. 2 vegan restaurants existed in LA 24 years ago. Now we've got almost 102, okay? We are growing. Used to travel to other parts of the country and I'd say vegan and they didn't know what I was talking about. They thought that I meant I was from the planet Vega or something like that. No, I'm from the planet Mars. I'm Andy Mars. Anyway, but now people know what I'm talking about. They may have a little confusion sometimes. They may need a little guidance, but the world is ready. The world is ready for a conscious revolution. The world is ready for each of us to take bigger steps and more steps towards greater conscious living. And I started to say before, and unfortunately we didn't round up all those kids on the skate park over there. It's not too late to come over. Footballers, you know, you can take a little halftime and come on over here, and playground kids, come on over. Because I'm talking to you now. I want to talk, and by the way, adults, well, I typically talk to kids because I'm a PhD in education. I work with kids, I work with schools, I work with parents, I work with teachers. Any adult here who's not a parent, who doesn't have kids, please listen very carefully because this can resonate with you as well. But I wish we had more of these kids coming over, and thank you to the few kids we have over here. This message is especially for you. For the last couple of decades, I have worked with so many kids who have had issues in school functioning and focusing and succeeding.
Before we march, I want to begin the true sound of Topanga Canyon. And I'm not talking about that street over there. I'm talking about the place, Topanga Canyon. And here they are, what I consider to be one of the best bands in the world. Because I had to play at 3 of my events, and I can attest to it. Give it up for the Conscious Life All-Stars!
Woo! Hey everybody! I wish I were taller, but I'm not.
Unmute those channels. Thank you. Yes. Thank you all for coming out. Make it a good march. Let them hear you. Let them see you. That's a great sound, by the way. You look great.
Hello. You got sound?
Okay, Nisha, I gotta run to the bathroom.
And I'm just gonna read some Monsanto products really quickly. I promise I won't bring us all down, but I just kind of want a reality check. Check 1, 2, reality check 1, 2. Okay, 1940, saccharin. That was their big claim to fame. Saccharin. Remember the little label? Causes cancer in laboratory rats. I used to read that to everybody at the dinner table when we go out to dinner. I couldn't believe it. It was so funny to me. PCBs. We all know what those are. Fake sweetener. And then we all know the bovine growth hormone. Do not drink milk that's not organic.
I don't!
Good. Because definitely it's got the RBGH, the bovine growth hormone. It's not so much the hormone that we're afraid of. It's the pussalac. It's what they give the cows so that pus doesn't go into the milk. So much pus. We're still drinking some pus. You know.
I gotta vomit!
I know, right? it's so disgusting.
I gotta vomit!
GMOs. Genetically modified organisms, we all kind of know what those are, right? It's when you take the one organism and you you blast the gene from something that doesn't even belong anywhere near that tomato. It's living in the Arctic, in the ocean, and you're blasting that gene into the tomato gene. And blasting it is a good word for how they...
Thank you. So, you heard about that seed bank and all. And we talk about genetically modified seeds and all these things.
Where's Steve?
Where's our Los Angeles seed people? David King in the house? No.